In other news to talk about is kind of old news and new news. At least this clip that we are going to be looking at is new. Kat Abughazaleh, who was considered the darling of the left for a long time because she was running a grassroots, democratic socialist based campaign. I'm sure many of our viewers are aware of who she is. She went viral for going down to Broadview Ice Facility that producer Pete and I actually went to as well, and getting slammed to the ground by an ICE agent. There's a lot of lore. She lost a very contested race for the U.S. Congress for District 9 in Illinois.
Democratic primary.
In the Democratic primary. She lost the Democratic primary for District 9 in Illinois. There was a lot of outside money with AIPAC and J Street and other Zionist orgs that was coming in. And we have all kind of been waiting to hear what her next move is going to be because she had this huge platform.
Mm-hmm.
She had a lot of sway. She has a ton of support behind her still. And so this is her announcement video. I have not watched the entire video, but this is basically her saying what her next step is and what we're going to hear, how we're going to hear from her, that type of thing.
Guys, we are so back. My name is Kat Abughazaleh. I was running for Congress in the 9th District of Illinois, and the most common question I've been getting over the last 2 weeks since the election is, what's next? Well, I can finally answer that, at least in part. Over the last year, we built a network of over 10,000 volunteers, locally and remotely, a donor network of 65,000 plus people. We fed and clothed thousands of folks, and we were able to turn out the vote in ways that haven't been seen in this district in decades. And that's because we rooted our campaign in making positive change now. We lived our values rather than just talk about them. From our office doubling as a mutual aid hub where you could get everything from clothes to baby formula, to our events being free and fun, to being open and honest.
Was anybody else aware that her office was serving as a mutual aid hub?
I had no idea, but that's cool as fuck.
Yeah, no, I know. Like,
we need more people to do that. Matter of fact, let's call Kat. She needs to do that.
The DSA is going to office eventually, and will definitely be serving as a mutual aid hub.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, that was, I've on top of running a campaign. That's crazy, but
it shows crazy dedication to the community.
Yeah.
Nightmare world we currently live in. We built a community, and we don't want to squander it, because that's one of the worst parts about campaigns and politics, among a lot of worst parts. We let momentum and infrastructure die as soon as an election's over. We create communities, make a bunch of promises, and then Irish goodbye once the campaign ends. And every time that happens, it makes people...
I think that is really funny, and that's something that I have noticed but never deeply thought about, is all of this money is spent, all of these people are talked to, and I mean obviously we see this a lot from the the Dems, and then it just all fucking disappears.
Yep.
And it's until
the next cycle.
Right.
That was one thing we talked about when I was with Power to the Polls, was I kept pleading with them to invest in Green Bay more, because they put most of their work in Milwaukee and Madison, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to tell them, look, Green Bay has a lot of promise. They just need us to be there, and not just as an every 2 years electoral thing, or every year for Supreme Court races, but as an actual community organization showing out every fucking day in the community and being look, we're not just here to show up and sell you on these candidates every few years. We're here to actually do good work in the community. And unfortunately, I could never get them to agree on that. And part of that's because of funding things, whatever. That's also one of the things that we talked about with the No Kings protests, is No Kings 2 brought in 4,000 people. And then...
Yeah.
What did we do with all those 4,000 people? Nothing. Which is one of the things that we set out to change with our No Kings 3, where it was we don't want this to just be something that happens and then in a few months maybe it happens again.
Right.
And we just keep doing that. We want to actually have something tangible that people can do, people can follow, that we can turn this momentum into something successful.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it often happens with protests where they just go, okay, we're done. Good, go home, everybody. Good signs, nice work. And then nothing to follow up with that. They do it with campaigns. They do it with, canvassing it's just all over our political
Mhm.
system. That's kind of the approach that people take, is they build the momentum and then they don't know what the hell to do with it afterward. And a lot of people take the cynical approach of like, well, I lost, so fuck it, I guess.
Right.
And but a lot of them, it's literally just that they either don't know what to do with it, or they, in some cases that I won't name, are probably just here to make sure that that momentum doesn't go anywhere on
Right.
purpose, because they know that that momentum is powerful.
I think it goes a little bit deeper than what you're saying, Emma. When you think about it, there's almost an unspoken agreement pretty much inherent in American politics where the elected official is not going to go, they're not going to keep any of their campaign promises usually when they get into office, and they'll actively work against what the people that voted them in for. But in exchange, they won't make you think about politics again until next election cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Less likely to be involved in politics again. It makes people feel like their only value to those in power is what they can give. And I think that's bullshit. So we're not doing that. But what does that actually mean? Well, first off, we are keeping our office at 7016 North Clark Street open. Throughout the campaign, our office operated as a mutual aid hub as well as a campaign headquarters. We fed and clothed thousands, and we want to continue doing that work. In fact, now we can devote even more time, space, and capacity to doing that. So if you need diapers or Narcan or coat or whatever it may be.
How is she going to pay for it?
I know. I mean, doesn't she know that there's a war in Iran on right now? Like, we really can't. I said Iran again. Our war in Iran again. And we need all of our blood, sweat, and treasure for that. So we don't really have it for the poor people.
It's
I'm
almost
jumping ahead again. Sorry.
It's almost like when you put effort into a community to make local people's lives better, they like to give back to you.
Oh yeah, like with Zoran. Like the fact that Zoran has been so successful in just the first couple of months of his term as mayor. Like the majority report was like, I mean, he's basically gotten the majority of his platform done already, and it's only been a month. Like that kind of stuff shows people that you do actually care about them, and you're not just a politician.
You can still come by our office. And if you want to bring those supplies or mail them to us at 7016 North Clark Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60626, you can do that as well. We don't just want to leave the community that helped us build this movement out to dry. And if we want to build political power, we have to start with meeting people's material needs. Second, we are going to be increasing our number of community-focused events. We're really investing in the idea of building that political power through apolitical appeal. We did a lot of this in the campaign, but we also had to balance that with canvas launches and phone banks. So now, with this capacity, we're really excited to see what we can do. Over the next 2 weeks, we've got movie nights, board game nights, knitting circles, mutual aid organizing events. And this is just the start. As we scale up, we're planning on hosting classes, skill shares, cleanups, and a lot more. And of course, all of our events are and will continue to remain free, especially as Trump creates a global depression, which of course is going to make entertainment and enrichment unaffordable to the average American. Additionally, our space is a community space, because besides parks and libraries, there's pretty much nowhere in America where you can exist without spending money. And we're not about that. So come on by 7016 North Clark Street.
We started this show with a generational L from Windbagger. This is a crazy W. Like, this is like her being like fucking Obi-Wan from Star Wars, where he's like, strike me down and I will become more powerful than you have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Like, this is like...
Well, that's something that's been going around with our progressive candidates that I've been liking a lot, and I want to see a hell of a lot more of, because that's what Cori Bush said when she got defeated to Wesley Bell, who's like terrible Apex stooge. Is she said, joke's on you, APAC, now I just have all the fucking James off. You thought that you defeated me, but all you did was make me more powerful.
Right.
And I was like, fuck yeah, that's the energy I want to see from all these people. Like,
it's like in the stereotypical anime battle, where they're like on the ground and they're like, that was only my first form.
Yeah, exactly. And this is really nice too. And the juxtaposition between her and Wimberger could not be any clearer here.
Right.
Like, I really like that we paced it that way.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, she as a losing candidate is being more useful to her community than successful politicians. Like,
successful in the fact that they're in office, but yeah. James, what do you think?
You know, so I'm not as tuned into all the leftist stuff as you are. Like, I didn't know who she was until after she lost. I do think it's pretty cool for a couple of reasons. First, she's sitting on a weird intersection between electoral change and non-electoral forms of change, but not
Mhm.
revolutionary change either.
Mhm.
Also, that's all we really need. Like, if you have the means and you put effort into legitimately trying to make people's lives better, someone will notice, that person will support you, and you'll get everything you put into it back out of it. Now, it's not going to take you in any direction, or now it's not going to take you in any kind of direction you can predict. It ends up being really, really random, but the point is that there's a crazy amount of power just in wanting to help people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it feels like that shouldn't need to be said, because that should be the bare minimum for running for fucking elected office, but here we are.
Yep.